everybody.
Who played?
Akron, Kent State.
Oh, that's right. We talked about this.
Akron was losing 27-10 in the fourth quarter, and not only did they win,
wow,
Joe Moorhead and the Zips covered.
Wow,
they covered.
Wow,
yeah, 3.5 point line.
So look at that. One team got to 2 wins in the season.
Yeah, yes, they did. And you know what? Maction's for the drama.
Oh man, I remember you telling me
and that's
yesterday that Kent State was playing, and I went, they're one of the worst teams in football. Like they've scored like 40 points in conference in 7 games.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one that got. Remember, we talked about Kent State earlier in the year. You remember what we talked about Kent State?
Oh God,
regarding. Do you remember what it was?
What, transfer quarterback going to UCLA?
No.
It's the only thing I can think of.
No. Actually, we've talked about Kent State a couple times.
Oh, no, we had the dumb social media team.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Central Florida's social media team.
Call in the National Guard.
For the Kent State Massacre when they beat Kent State really bad.
Yeah, and they had no idea what that reference was to.
I'm sure they did.
No idea.
Yeah. Well, they do always say it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission, right?
I don't think so.
Unless you get fired.
In most cases.
I don't think so. Yeah. So, and the other one is Kent State's head coach is now the offensive coordinator at Colorado. He was like, screw this. I'm out. I'll be an OC somewhere.
Useful.
Yeah. And that's where, gosh, we've talked about Kent State 3 different times this year. Tez Walker.
Oh, that's right.
That's where he transferred from to North Carolina.
It's like 6 degrees of Kent State.
I know. And guess what? They're 1-8. They're terrible.
It's great branding.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's get this Thursday rolling now that we got the important sports things out of the way. You know, today we'll be talking about the World Series because that happened last night. We got a new World Series champion in the Texas Rangers.
That happened?
No?
No, I had it on an alternate monitor.
No. You did?
Yeah.
You did?
It was a clinching game.
You say cringy or clinching?
Clinching.
Because it was both.
Yeah. I mean,
it was really bad to watch Zach Gallen go from
fall apart.
Oh my God, go from no hitter to just like sadness.
Yeah,
really quickly.
Also, the team that was the best fielding team in baseball committing a comedy of errors over the past 2 games.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's baseball though.
Now to quote the great Gardner Minshew.
It's brutal, dude.
It is. That is brutal, dude.
If you told me if I didn't know that was Gardner,
if
you told me that was Keanu Reeves in Point Break, I would 100% agree.
No. That's not Keanu Reeves from Point Break. You know what is Keanu? Where'd it go?
I got it.
I'm going the wrong way.
I got it.
I am an FBI agent.
God, was that loud for anybody else?
That one was louder.
It's a little hot on this board.
That is that is different. But yeah, that's Point Break. And you know what I tried to do? I didn't tell you guys this. I tried to find Cam Rising in Salt Lake City because remember, we talked to Cam Rising.
FBI, yeah.
He wants to join the FBI when his football days are done. And boy, this ACL injury keeping him from the NFL.
He's got time.
He might be Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like he may be Johnny Utah. He'd never seen that movie before. And we're like, wait, you are the quarterback at Utah. And you haven't seen the movie about the quarterback named Johnny Utah that joined the FBI?
Yeah. Dirt and Sprague had him on during Pac-12 Media Days, and they asked him, and he had not yet watched it.
He didn't?
Yeah, he had not yet watched it.
Oh, man.
But maybe a few months later, maybe it pops up on Netflix,
Yeah.
There have been so speaking of,
where can you stream?
You gave me the Gotti doc recommendation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Got Gotti.
Yeah,
or Get Gotti.
I go, hey babe, Dusty told me there's a Gotti documentary, and she's like, already watched it. And I was like, do you just religiously watch stuff without me? She's like, yeah, I do. Well, I'm like I'll be in the office.
You can watch it on the Peacocks right now.
But I'll be in the office watching a game, so she'll be in the living room watching her shows or whatever. Normally it's reality TV or something along those lines. I'm like, I'm not gonna miss that. But she's been watching shows, like shows without me.
Do you feel like she's cheating on you?
Yes, absolutely.
Look, I go through this. Like, there's a very small window that my wife and I have time to watch TV together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like there's shows that we watch. Well, now she's like reading books and stuff, and she's like in bed and she's reading a book, and I'll put something on, and she's like, "Can we not? Like, this is distracting for me while I'm reading." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll put something else on. Like, I can't watch like any action shows, right?"
Yeah.
And so she's like, that's like distraction. I'm like, I get it, right? Guns, car crashes, okay.
You need the white noise headphones for her.
Comedy. She's like, I want to watch this now, and now I'm not reading. And I was like, then don't read.
Yeah, that's on you.
This seems I'm identifying the problem right now, and it's not me.
So I can't like watch any of these shows, and so it's either I leave, or I wait till she goes to bed, and then I just watch whatever I want, right? So that's
will
kind
it
of
not
what
wake her up?
That's kind of, no, it won't wake her up. And so
I creak a
that's where I'm
floorboard in my bedroom, and it's what?
yeah.
I'm like, oh, for the love of God!
No, I can work out in our bedroom. My wife won't wake up. I swear to God, our son farts in his bedroom, and she's like, "What was that? Did you hear him? Hey, wake up! I think something happened in." I'm like, "What?"
Do you, both of you have kids, but we all have wives. Do you, when you're woken up, is it ever like, hey, wake up, or is it, wake up, Because I get that, and then she gets mad at me for going, because I'm in the dead of sleep and I'm trying to like process what's happening.
No, it's usually because of a bodily function or getting the covers like violently ripped off.
That one too. But I'm talking about like when you actually get forcibly woken up.
Yeah.
Do you ever wake up like, oh, huh? What can I do for you?
Yeah, when I'm pretending like I was asleep and I wasn't, because I made the noise that woke her up.
Oh.
I'm like, oh wow, no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, crazy. Weird. But yeah, no, she got mad at me.
Can't
for
be
that
giving
last
away
week.
my secrets right now.
She got mad at me last week because I didn't wake up under control.
That seems reasonable. What are you doing?
I'm like,
Be under control when
I'm
you
like,
wake
I'm
up.
dead as like I'm not. We're talking REM sleep. I am gone. Deep.
I see you as a very dramatic waker upper too.
Well, when it depends on how you wake me up. Like if you wake me up with, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, can you go check on this?" I'm gonna go, what? Okay, sure. But when you shake me violently and go, "Hey,"
Yeah,
I'm gonna think fight or flight's gonna kick in real quick,
yeah.
and it's not flight.
I'm just wondering what this looks like. Like there's a movie going on in my head right now.
It's probably not wrong.
I won't be able to unsee it.
Yeah.
Not there in my head. There's a lot of flesh and legs flying. It's just
Look,
I
man,
don't know.
I'm a tank top and boxers guy, so you're good.
Okay,
You're good.
Well, that clears the picture up
Yeah,
a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, man.
yeah,
I appreciate that.
No, that's that. I don't know when it started happening, but I went to the sleeping tank top a while ago. And it's mostly because if I ever do have to like go put the dogs out in the middle of the night, you've got like something on in the middle of the night.
Okay, now I'm gonna screw this up, but there's like these men's pajamas that my buddy wears, and he swears by them. He's like, "No, I'm seriously, I'm gonna buy you these," but they have like a name that I giggled at, and I don't know what they are, but I'm gonna have to text him, and I'm gonna have to find out because I heard the name and I was like, I'm never wearing those. And I can't believe you're wearing
Is
those.
it like Skims, but for men?
No, it's something like.
Go for it.
I don't know. I'm going to be totally wrong here, but I think it's something like boy jays or something super. Like that sounds problematic. What you just told me that you sleep in,
Is
like
it underoos?
I mean,
is there
if
a
that was the
trap
case.
door to them? No, it's something that I just was like, I can't believe you wear that to bed. But I'm glad you wear something, man.
Yeah, no. The last time we went all natural, we're talking like 15, 20 years. It's been a hot minute.
All right.
See, I'm a big tosser and turner, so if I got a t-shirt and stuff on, like that's all getting twisted and
That's
turned
why I
under me
went to
and
tank
wrapped
top.
around
It
weird.
doesn't like.
Yeah.
You still get the
I
freedom of movement.
I don't go completely al fresco, but yeah.
All right. 503-864-6326.
Definitely don't want to be al dente.
That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Visuals just popping off everywhere in this opening segment.
You're welcome.
The Vancouver Ford text line, how you could be a part of the show. Thank you all for listening. Also, you can go to youtube.com/1080am The Fan. That is where the show is streamed now. I've got mood lighting behind me. They
Yeah.
needed to brighten up.
Yeah, you
My
needed to
behinds?
you needed to be backlit a little bit because I've got the
Yeah.
door behind me that has also a window directly out to it.
So big ups to engineering.
Yeah.
They came in and they added these lights to make it look not so dark.
Yeah, a little LED.
Yeah, and if you want to be a part of the community of commenters, we got Rufio, Tanner, and Ginger Fit Dad and Coker Time. They're already in there, man. They're already in there.
I like how you
chatting it
paused
up.
there just to make sure.
I needed to read it
Yeah.
through my head one time. I didn't
can,
want
I,
to.
can I say that?
I went Larry. He's a big Larry Coker fan.
Mm.
He's a big Larry Coker fan. So
Lee Iacocca.
yeah.
Mm.
And the YouTubers have already commented. I am wearing my I support Portland teachers pin.
Indeed.
My teachers are out there. They're striking right now. Would be my wife. That's why it's something that is near and dear to my heart. And I support the teachers because I support the students. And it's not just about it's not all about money.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that's going into it and a lot more of the stories that people don't know that and you could be pro-union or non-union. I'm more of a just do right by people and do what's
Yep.
fair. And there's a lot of that isn't happening right now.
Sure.
And I think that's a big part of the rift that we have. And so,
Regardless of how you feel, go
yeah.
read up on it so you have a better understanding.
yeah.
No matter what side you're on.
Yeah,
Please,
I mean, my
please
wife
go
had
read up.
rats in her classroom for 3 years, and
Yeah.
they're trying to make
Yeesh.
sure that doesn't happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For 3 years,
That's
they had a rat problem, and she teaches in a Head Start program,
Mhm.
and there was a little mouse that crawled over a student one time.
yeesh.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
Seems like a good place to start.
Yeah.
And as far as the pay goes and whatnot, look, I've seen a lot of y'all's kids. These teachers need to make more money.
Yeah. I mean, they do, because a lot of them they bring your problems that you have at home. They bring them home with them too, because you can't deny it, and it's unavoidable.
Yep.
And I have a lot of respect for teachers, not just because my wife is one. They change lives, man.
They do.
They really do.
Especially good ones.
Yeah, and there are a lot of good ones.
Mhm.
We hear about the crappy ones a lot, but we have a lot of really good ones, man. And so I'm supporting my teachers. I'm supporting all of them that are out there too. So good on you, teachers.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
There you go.
Damn, that guy's wearing a Dwight Schrute T-shirt,
Mhm.
and he's just a poet over there.
Yep.
I love you, Jeff Rust.
Jeff
No-
Rust, Charles Barkley, philosophers of our time.
Beats,
Hey.
Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Hey, man, don't you dare.
Deny the greatness of what is a churro is actually just a long donut.
Oh man, that's
I
just
don't-
terrible.
Don't count yourself out of this conversation, because you've had some doozies too. We got a whole damn drop board, my friend.
Channel my inner Yogi Berra.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's get this show on the road. Hey, one more and Portland gets the internet. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
And the same thing with the Raptors game. I just didn't say anything because
We're not that bad.
Well, they are. It turns out it's much easier to beat a team like the Raptors when they shoot under 15% from three.
Yeah.
It's also super helpful when you double somebody up at the foul line and in free throws.
Boy, that game, it had the old Tim Donaghy special going on there.
Yeah, they quite literally tripled them up from the free throw line, 33-11, and the fouls called were 31-15. And it wasn't like the Pistons were just chucking threes. The Pistons took 9 more threes than the Blazers, and it wasn't like 40-49. It was 20-29.
Yeah.
So the big key here is that the Blazers ended up, I want to say, with like 15 more possessions total, and that's the difference.
Yep.
And that's because they're never going to beat anybody shooting. But if they can generate more possessions, they can limit opportunities for other teams, which, again, I wrote about it last night, the activity from the Blazers defensively. Right now, per 100 possessions, they're 12th in steals and 12th in blocks. There's not a direct correlation between those two things as far as activity and generating those things, but it's nice to have an indicator of said activity because activity doesn't always show in the box score. But what you see in a guy like Toumani Camara against both Toronto and Detroit, guess what he did? He took on Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham, 2 absolutely scintillating young apex wing talents.
Yeah.
And bodied them up and made them work for everything.
Yeah.
And the Blazers just have not had that guy since Batum.
Yeah, since Nick Batum.
It's just Harkless tried to fill it, but I don't think he attacked it with the same tenacity.
His mentality was not that.
Toumani just he gets it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But the guy who saved the Blazers' bacon last night was Shaedon Sharpe.
How about Shaedon Sharpe? 29 points, 9 of 16 shooting. And 3 of 6 from 3. I mean, he's not going to be a volume guy from 3, but make him count.
He'll
Shoot
get
50%.
there.
You're okay. And I thought one thing that was nice to see from him outside of the 29 was the 7 rebounds, too, to kind of go with it.
The
and
defensive activity.
The aggressiveness that he was playing with. And that goes back to kind of something that you mentioned even after game 1, is that Shaedon Sharpe is not playing like a guy who is a rookie anymore. He's playing with a lot more confidence and awareness of what is happening around him, and so he's just playing faster.
Yeah.
And you can tell
the
that
processing
right now.
speed is a lot quicker. And this isn't everyone's very excited, and they should be. Shaedon Sharpe had his best game as a pro probably last night. Everyone wanted to call back to the game he had against Minnesota. It didn't matter. And not that it matters anymore this season because of where they're at. But this was not – the Blazers weren't going into this game saying, here's the ball, Shaedon. The season's over. There's no consequences. Go out there and lose.
I think there's added context to it as well in that early versus later in a year. And then you have the fact that, look, to be honest, Scoot goes down, Ant's not around, Ant's not available, and everybody's just kind of looking around all right, who's it going to be? And I thought in the first couple of games, it's weird to say this because they're 2-3 right now, so it's only 5 games in. But you sit there and you look at what this team is doing, and you go, Jeremy Grant, the first couple of games was forcing shots a little bit, and just kind of not.
He had to because especially with Ant going down in the first half of the first game.
It looked uncomfortable for him. What we've seen now is Jeremy Grant playing more within the context of flow of a game and offense, not forcing the issue. And when that happens, somebody else has to be there.
Falls in line.
And Shaedon Sharpe has not been a guy who's been ready to do it.
No.
Because everybody in the NBA can get buckets, right? It's a bucket getter league.
It's about efficiency and the ability to do it in multiple facets, and that's the thing.
And not score 29 points on 27 shots.
Yes, which Cade Cunningham did. Cade Cunningham had, if I remember correctly, he had 30?
30 on 27.
30 on 27.
Yeah,
so and look, you can do that, and that's the thing. Toumani did great on him in the second half, but the Blazers, and particularly Shaedon Sharpe was 1 of 5 and had 3 points at the half. And I want to make sure I get this quote right. Casey Holdall had it following the game last night. This is from Chauncey Billups. I got a little mad at him. He's talking about Shaedon. He gave up a couple back doors, a couple offensive rebounds, which is unacceptable for Shaedon. I took him and Scoot out and said, nah, this game might be too big for y'all. So I took them right out, let the other guys finish. That was the end of the first half.
Wow.
Chauncey straight up benched Scoot and Shaedon because they were not getting it done. And then he let them have it in halftime.
I like that. I like that because you've got a young team and you've got an authority voice. And look, it's easy to do that too when Chauncey Billups is standing on the sideline looking up at the rafters. You know how every coach gives like the 5 mile stare sometimes,
And he sees
you
his
see
number.
your number and name up in the rafters, and you're like, you know what? These guys will listen. That's credibility right
Yeah.
there.
And so you get the third quarter, which was by far the Blazers' best quarter. They score. It's the only point in the only quarter in the game they score over 30. They outscore Detroit 36-15. They close the gap. They were down 18. They close the gap and they get it to 82-83 after 3. But a lot of this comes as like a little bit of a push from Jeremy to close the first half. And again, Jeremy finishes the night 24 points on 16 shots. Just really bolstered them in the first half. But Shaedon comes out in the third quarter, has 15. Layup, dunk, another finish, shoulder finish, knocks down a 3, knocks down another 3, knocks down another 3. And you're going, oh, hello. Scoot Henderson starts to play relatively well. But unfortunately, I don't think anybody has really seen it yet. So Scoot had 5 points and 4 assists in the third quarter in 6 minutes.
Sounds okay.
He got rolling too.
Is he okay? Is he hurt? Is he dying?
As it sounds like right now,
we amputating that ankle.
as it sounds right now, is a run-of-the-mill ankle roll is the what I've heard. I don't know if they're going to get imaging for sure, but I would imagine they're probably going to do that sometime this morning just to be safe. The thing that sucks is they did have to fly out last night. Not always great to get to 30,000 feet right after rolling your ankle. It's not good for you.
Good, Bob.
So, but we'll see what happens. They play Memphis tomorrow for the first of the play-in or the in-season tournament games.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, the first one.
Well, yeah, they didn't waste any time there, did they?
No, it was the whole point. Make it care early. So they'll have the new floor down that we've already seen, and they'll wear their Rip City Edition jerseys on that floor.
I guess that's why they call it the in-season and not mid-season.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
Boy, I'm so excited for it.
Come on, we're talking about it, aren't we? We will tomorrow.
On Football
No,
Friday.
we
Yeah,
won't.
we will.
We quite literally will not talk about that
I'll
in
find a
season.
way.
No,
I'll find a way.
no, no, no. They won 2 games in a row though, which is
And they have
okay for them.
They have a real opportunity to win a third because Memphis is 0-5.
Hey.
They're terrible without Jaw, without Steven Adams. Jaren Jackson Jr. is still trying to find himself after. It seems like almost every player that played this summer is struggling, which is counter to what it normally is. Normally those guys take off a little bit more, but this summer, the guys that played this summer are having some ups and downs. It's a little bit of an interesting thing.
Because they're young.
Could be because that
Don't
team
have a
was
lot of
that
experience.
team was incredibly young. But yeah, it was nice to see the game from Shaedon Sharp. We'll wait to see what's happening with Scoot Henderson. But you've got some positives to pull up from the team. But I will say this again to everybody: do not count wins and losses, and honestly, don't look at the scoreboard during the game. Legitimately, it's not going to be helpful for you this year. You are going to get too caught up in it, and you're going to get too frustrated. And enjoy the moments, like last night with Shaedon Sharp. Enjoy the moments where Scoot Henderson is, getting lobs to DeAndre. Enjoy those because in the meat of the season, you're probably going to get your teeth kicked in.
They will. And it's 2 wins. It's good.
They're 2-3.
I think what we're 2-3 through 5 games.
It's better than the Grizzlies and the Heat.
We're looking at 40 wins then, right? Is that what we're back to?
Yep.
40 wins.
Coming up next segment, we'll go through game by game and predict the rest of the schedule.
No, we won't.
Give me time.
No.
I'll do it in the commercial break.
No.
That's a win.
No.
That's a win.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Hey,
Lost.
but stringing 3 W's together, that would mean that Portland has the internet. www.
That's where you're going with that.
I wondered too at first.
I was like, did he mean to say that?
Yeah.
I was like, we're going streaming?
Because that's the look, that's what you say when you have a really bad team. Like, hey, Portland doesn't even have the internet. They can't even string 3 W's together. Oh. Dad jokes will be here all day. But the Blazers get number 2 in a row, 110-101 over the Detroit Pistons, led by 29 points from Shaedon Sharp. Way to go, guys. Last night, we also had the culmination of the Major League Baseball season. And we may have one of the best managers in modern baseball history. We have that discussion is now open. But does it feel a little different when they just go out and they buy that championship? Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Now, Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Week 9 of the NFL begins tonight in Pittsburgh. The Steelers hosting the Titans. Will Levis will get his second straight start for Tennessee as Ryan Tannehill is still out with an ankle injury. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Steelers are 3-point favorites. Seahawks cornerback Devin Witherspoon named NFC Defensive Rookie of the Month for October. On the hard court, Blazers off tonight as they head back home. Winners of their last two on the road. They've got 2 games Friday and Saturday against the Grizzlies before hitting the road again for a 3-game trip. Just a 4-game slate tonight in the association, an NBA TV doubleheader. Raptors in Philadelphia to face the new-look 76ers. That's a 4 o'clock tip. Then at 7, the Spurs at it again in Phoenix after Victor Wembanyama and company came back for a last-second win over the Suns on Tuesday. Sad news out of the association. 1978 Rookie of the Year and 6-time All-Star Walter Davis has passed away. Davis played 11 seasons in Phoenix after being drafted number 5 overall out of UNC in 1977. He then played a season and a half in Denver before being traded to Portland during the 1990-91 season. Davis then returned to the Nuggets for a final season. Walter Davis was 69. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sportsbook. Powered by BetMGM. Learn more at SpiritMountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
it was kind of an anticlimactic World Series as a whole.
Yeah, I mean 4-1, and none of them really being all that close.
Yeah, they went gentleman's sweep style on them, and it was the juggernaut that is the Texas Rangers. And look, I wonder how much of the wind was taken out of the sails of this just by Texas went out and they bought a championship, which if you are in a sport that really doesn't have a salary cap, yeah, go do it. It's what every damn fan base wishes that their ownership would do, instead of going through the slog of 100 loss seasons. I went through back to back 100 loss seasons. They called it the shortcut through hell to get a relevant roster because they weren't willing to spend money. But what most teams do is they don't hit it out of the park with draft pick after draft pick after draft pick, and it's impossible to do.
See Angels.
But what they did, and look, what the Rangers did was they tried to buy that championship, and it worked. The Dodgers tried it for several years, and it didn't work.
Yes.
The Yankees have tried it for several years, and it doesn't work. You have a lot of luck comes into it, because even the Rangers were bit by the injury bug this year too. But they did it, man, and I think a lot of people just kind of go, it's Texas beating Arizona. And that's kind of sucks for the Rangers.
It does, because Corey Seager is one of 4 now World Series MVP repeaters.
This team had a bunch of really cool stories.
Yes, I mean, think about that. In the history of baseball, there have been 4 players who have been 2-time World Series MVPs.
I know. And he and Reggie Jackson are the only guys to do it on multiple teams.
Yeah. And the other ones are Sandy Koufax and
Bob Gibson.
Bullet thank you.
Bob Gibson are the other 2 to do it.
Remind me again. Those other 3 guys, they any good?
Pretty good.
Pretty good players.
Pretty good.
These days we couldn't call him Bullet Bob Gibson anymore. It would have to be like Ammunition Bob Gibson.
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
Or Wizard Bob Gibson.
Yes, Wizard Bob Gibson.
Ugh. That nickname's even worse than the Washington Wizards. Gross. Wizard Bob.
Wizard Bob?
Wizard Bob is the guy who's
That's
like
the strange neighbor at the end of the street.
Yeah, he's the street magician that everybody's like, that guy can't go to Chuck E. Cheese anymore.
And by street magician, you mean the guy that's out on the corner with a beer box on his head and
that has to stay 500 yards away from a park or a school.
The house robe and the jambies.
Dad? Dad? Jambies also that's the name of the pajamas that my buddy wears. That it's not Boy Jays, which that was. It's not that far off though. It's one of those ones where you're like, I don't know if I'll be wearing those.
Like
they look really comfortable though.
Isaac couldn't remember the name of Connor Stallions the other day, and he goes, "What was his name again? Steel Chapman."
Yeah.
I mean, it's in. Look, that's not out of the ballpark. That's in it, baby.
We're close enough. Yeah.
Also, I just put Betty and baby together, so I came with Beatty.
Like Ned?
Yeah.
Or Warren?
That was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't words very good there.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
But
there's a lot of great stories with the Rangers, though. I mean, Corey, not Kyle.
Nope.
Mariner.
Yeah, you got the wrong Seager. Sorry about that.
Damn.
This Corey
didn't
in
deserve
baseball
that.
heaven right now. Kyle in baseball purgatory.
Wow. No. Retirement. That's where he is. But you look at Seager's one part. We have this conversation now of like Bruce Bochy legitimately has claim to being modern baseball's greatest manager.
Yes.
And you have
Did
two
you see
guys.
his interview with SVP afterwards?
I did not. No.
Fantastic. SVP asked him about, being that, but also like being in the moment. And he stopped and goes, real quick, what level of celebration are you on right now? Like, are you completely hammered, or are you okay to do this interview? He's like, we're good right now.
We're good right now.
He goes, I'll catch up to the boys here in a little bit. And immediately you're like, I see why these guys love him.
Yeah, he's an amazing manager.
Yeah.
And he is one of, it's a very short list of guys, but it's not just winning another World Series and having 4 World Series now. It's the fact that he joined Sparky Anderson and Tony La Russa as the only managers to win World Series in the AL and the NL.
Which now is not quite as different as it was for, obviously, La Russa, but still impressive.
Well, there's only the 3 guys that have ever done it.
Yes, but I mean with the
So-
with the DH rule changes, it's
You
different
have
than it used to be.
you have this idea that what he is able to do. Well, he did it without the DH. He did the hard part
Well,
first.
yes, I'm saying yes.
The hard part he got out of the way before.
I would argue it's not different than a football head coach winning a Super Bowl in both the NFC and AFC.
Yeah.
But
Now,
that's still a mark.
But yes, but I'm saying now.
Yeah.
Again, he wasn't going up against an NL team, in an NL park on the road where your pitcher's got to hit. Like I'm saying, he did that already.
Yeah, he's one hell of a manager though. And
Oh, absolutely.
it's incredible to see kind of what he's done with that big old noggin of his. But you also have Bochy in the runs that he has made. His career record as a big league skipper is 2,093 and 2,101. He's still not even a 500 manager.
Those early years piled up on him.
Well, it's the late years too. It's the late years in San Francisco, where they
the
last
post World Series run.
the last
Yeah.
3 years they were
not good.
No bueno.
And it's easy to pile up losses in Major League Baseball with how long the season is.
Yeah, but the dude he won the division 1, 2,
God,
3,
4,000
4,
games.
5,
managed?
6. Yeah, he's won the
Yeesh.
division 6 times, won the pennant 4 times, and won the World Series 4 times.
Pretty darn good.
That's pretty good. But like I do believe though, we get stuck in recency bias though, and we forget just how great Tony La Russa was.
Yes.
At both in Oakland and in St. Louis.
Mhm.
He won 12 division titles and 6 pennants.
And they should have had at least one more other
That's-
World Series crown in St. Louis.
That's pretty damn impressive, man. But that shouldn't take away anything from Bruce Bochy.
No,
what
I mean
he was able
those
to
are the
do.
two best. I think the two best managers of the modern era.
They've been hunting for this championship, and they've been trying to get this one in Texas.
Mhm.
Bochy comes out of retirement. I love all
That's
the
the cool
stories
part.
about his wife. He's like, what are you not getting in life? Like, what's not fulfilling right now? Like, you're doing everything that you want to do and everything that you complained about, not being able to do while you were managing. What's your deal? Why are you going back to baseball? This right here is
He
why
loves
I
the
did it.
game and the competing at the highest levels.
And I appreciate that out of anybody in sports, because we do get wrapped up in the money of sports because the money is ludicrous across every sport professionally now. But when you have a guy like Bruce Bochy, he is one of those guys that he's a lifer because he loves the game of baseball. And to me,
yeah,
that's really
you can't
cool.
live without it. That's what this fundamentally comes down to.
He's still in the game for all the reasons that we love the game of baseball, and the guys love him too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to win a World Series, there's one player and one player only that you need to sign.
Mhm.
Will Smith.
Ah,
Will Smith has now won 3 World Series with 3 different teams.
is that good?
2021, he was on the Braves.
Mhm.
2022, he was on the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
2023, the Texas Rangers.
The man knows where to go.
Hell yeah.
Those World Series bonuses hit awful nice too.
That man is a bandwagon pitcher.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have 3 fingers full of rings to show for it.
$750,000 worth of
Dude,
worlds.
hell
Have you-
yeah, do
those-
that.
Do people understand that
House.
the players' rings are all like worth like $250,000? Do
Yeah.
people understand that?
Yeah. Now they are.
The ones
they are.
now, yeah.
They're
Like,
crazy.
they are absolutely bonkers
Well,
stuff.
They have like drawers on them.
Yeah.
And doors.
And rotating cylinders.
It's
and-
crazy.
yeah, what's the place in Beverly? Jason's in Beverly Hills? I think-
Sure.
I think
That
that's
sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
You said it the other day when you're talking about the Nuggets,
yeah.
rings.
They do all of the title winners.
Now, a question here. Do you think the guy who comes up with all of like the meaning of the 55 stars is, do you like, it'll be like there's 52 stars to signify each year before they won the World Series on this ring? And it's like, is that guy a stoner or is he just like artsy fartsy? Because I think he's a stoner.
I think why not both?
I think the guy's just like, you know what, man? I know what we'll do. I got it. I would like it to be like that, and not some guy who's way too artsy and just is annoying. But these rings are going to be sweet. Good for the Rangers. World Series victory. Golf claps all around. Golf claps all around.
Indeed.
Golf claps all around. All right. 503-864-6326. That be the Vancouver Ford text line. We've got a lot that we need to get to, including top of the hour. Something that I still can't wrap my brain around, but we are following the Big Ten calendar now, which is a weird thing to say. And there's going to be some news and notes for the 4 teams leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12 or Big 10 at the top of the hour. So we got to get to that, and a lot of college football from here up and through the rest of the show. But at top of the 2 o'clock hour, we also have our picks, NFL picks. Danny's been red hot this year. This is Danny Dusty on the Fan. and they're saying, this is being kind of inflated by the media as a whole to make it sound worse than it is.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
getting worse because
Yeah.
more and more is being uncovered.
Well, there's elements of it where it's like, okay, we get it, but at the same time, more and more keeps coming out that as you said, is like, God, are they going to step in it any further? Like the fact he was on another team sideline this year,
That's insane.
that's crazy. But then it's like today we have video of Connor Stalions. 2 videos have surfaced in the last 24 hours of Connor Stalions. One on the sidelines during the Ohio State game where you don't even have to be like a professional lip reader. An amateur lip reader can sit there and go, he says they're running right. And all of a sudden you look at what plays being run on camera right after that, and Ohio State runs the ball
It's power right.
to the right, and guess what Michigan does? They bring their safeties down, they bring pressure from that side, and they stuff the run in the red zone.
Indeed.
Like you're going, oh, okay, so maybe that does make a little bit of sense there. The other one is we didn't think Connor Stalions was on the staff of Michigan in 2019. Well, somebody found a video of him on the sidelines right behind the defensive coordinator in 2019 during the Notre Dame game, where they absolutely housed Notre Dame. I think the final score is like 42-17. And he's on the sidelines right behind the defensive coordinator wearing the same hat he always wears. He wears the same Michigan hat all the time.
Dummy.
So
Tradecraft. Switch it up.
it's getting worse, but then to the point of Michigan fans who are talking about this, saying it's being blown out of proportion. You do have a little bit of The Athletic did we reached out to 50 coaches and polled them on how they thought the seriousness of these allegations were. And it was overwhelmingly coaches were like, yeah, if I know where a play is going, I can definitely stop it. It's a whole heck of a lot easier to call plays that way.
Also, man, it'd be a lot cooler if our scouts were better at doing this than they were.
Yeah. And I think that I think in one part, the Big Ten and that Big Ten coaches call that they had, where some coaches are legitimately calling for Michigan not to play. That's a weird.
Oh, I
move.
mean, look, they're carving out their space. Whenever there's a power vacuum, and right now Michigan is being tamped down, that means there's power in the room. Somebody else is going to try to assert that.
Instead of what I think every team should have been doing, this was by all accounts the worst kept secret in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
people knew about it.
Everybody knew.
Change your damn signals. That is a big part. TCU.
We literally heard from Georgia and TCU, and both were like, "No, we're fine."
Yeah, Bill, because they're better, they're more talented. But also, it's if it's that big of an issue for you,
TCU's not.
Change your signals. And I'm telling you, it can be confusing at the beginning, and you may have to slow your tempo down. But if you change your signals, tempo is the big one, right?
Yeah.
Really, only one guy has to learn it, and that's your quarterback.
Yeah.
So he can take it into
He can get you in and out of
in the
everything.
huddle. Where it becomes more confusing and it bogs you down is if you're trying to run tempo and you can't signal to each position group on the field. That is where
he's got to communicate to everybody.
It
But
gets a little bit worse.
also, at the same time, as dumb as this all is, there's a 90% chance microphones and headsets are going in helmets.
Well, they are for the bowl season.
That's but I mean,
They are for the bowl
but
season.
going forward,
It needs to happen.
We're done.
It has to.
That's that. If there's anything that's going to come out of this, that's it.
Yeah.
The
So
headsets are going in.
here we go.
Thank God. Now, if we could only get them on both sides of the ball,
Well, and I don't know why the NFL doesn't do it with every player having the ability to have it.
why? Why is it limited to one, the green dot? I still don't understand that. Why?
I don't get it.
Why are we slowing down the process?
No, if you want make the product better.
Yeah.
Then the product gets better if you have a
Everyone
headset
can
in
hear.
every single person's helmet.
Why are we forcing the relay?
Yeah. I don't.
Doesn't make
it's
any
something
sense.
I will not understand either.
But there's
I-
also, I bet you there's players out there who do not want that headset in their helmet.
and you know what? They don't have to.
No.
If they don't want to have it, then you can have them communicate with another guy on the field, and they can just do a hand signal back and forth. Whatever. But I think a majority of players they would want
like
it.
the advanced communication. Yeah.
Well, and also, here's the big they cut the communication
line,
off.
yeah.
but I think it's with 15 seconds left in the play clock.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a finite amount of time. But if you are a team going up against, I don't know, a spread team who wants to get to the ball quickly,
Mm-hmm.
you can have your defensive backs coach in the ear of your guys going, hey, we know this look, boom. And you call the play, and it's like, watch for this.
Yeah.
That gives the defense a good advantage. Also would give the offense the same advantage to check out of stuff. But
Sure.
I think it improves the game
Yes.
overall. Overall, you would have far less plays that are
The scramble plays where guys are pointing at
just
each other.
clunky.
Yeah, dude, they're just clunky as hell because a failure to communicate happens more often than not.
Yeah.
Still not going to save Alex Grinch.
I don't think it will. I don't think anything's going to save him.
Don't tease me now. If they packed him up in the same week that the Raiders got rid of McDaniels, whoo, buddy, you want to talk about al dente?
Well, let's get to some college football in hour number 2. We got college football heavy in hours number 2 and 3. Also, we've got to set the record straight on decorum on an airline. But where we start hour number 2, the Big Ten speaks, and we're all listening now out here on the West Coast. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
The Portland Metro
Hell, you could be watching on youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Come join us, take us in every way, shape, and form. Make sure you just subscribe to 1080 The Fan on YouTube. It's where you can watch all three of the shows throughout the course of the day and see Jeff Russ, shirt of the day. If you miss any of the shows, though, check them out on the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots, your home for your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. All right. Big Ten, this is weird that we're now following the Big Ten's calendar. I'm not sure how to feel about it. Feels weird to me. Feels a little foreign to me. But they are doing the trickle out of their schedule for the 2024 season. And some notable games, including we now know officially, and this is what we all thought it would be because it was a reserved in rivalry game. The final weekend of the Big Ten's schedule, which will be November 30th in 2024, it will feature Washington at Oregon. So Civil War is out. Washington at Oregon will take place the final weekend of the Big Ten calendar on November 30th. So it's going to be going up head-to-head against Michigan and Ohio State, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, Penn State, Purdue, Indiana, Rutgers, Michigan State, Illinois, Northwestern are those marquee matchups. And that's where we thought that this game would be, but it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense that your protected rivalry will be at the end of the year. Just feels weird the Apple Cup and Civil War are no longer there.
But we did get some quasi-news as it pertains to the very new place where the Apple Cup could continue.
Yeah.
Ian Furness up at KJR in Seattle reported yesterday that his sources told him that the Apple Cup could continue as early as next year in 2024. They'd have to sort some things out for 2025, 26, and things of that nature going forward. But he said that there were motivations to keep that rivalry going, and it would be played instead in Seattle at Lumen Field, where the gates would be split 50-50 at the NFL stadium.
All right.
So that seems like a pretty fair way to do this. UW goes, we could stay home, but we'll split the gate with you 50-50.
That does seem more fair-ish. Fair adjacent.
But also that game would be played one of the first probably 3 weeks of the season, which means Washington State would probably tell Portland State, here's $500,000. Thank you very much. We're going to go get the millions of dollars we're going to get from this game. Appreciate you.
That is true. All right, other notes here from the Big Ten's football schedule release as it pertains to the Pac-12 schools that are joining the Big Ten now. Oregon's first Big Ten opponent will be UCLA. First league game, September 28th, it will be UCLA. So
also,
familiar.
Just easing on in there.
Yeah. Also, they didn't get one of the easy games.
No.
They don't get a Rutgers or
UCLA's opener is the week prior, or 2 weeks prior. They'll play Indiana on the 14th,
which is a gentler welcoming.
Yep.
To the Big Ten, certainly.
USC has their welcome to the Big Ten as a trip to Michigan on September 21st.
Woo! Have fun.
While Washington will host Northwestern in their first ever Big Ten game.
Battle of the Purples.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Northwestern's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
But if you're wondering kind of like what games to kind of keep an eye on, we now know the date that Ohio State is coming to Autzen Stadium. And this is a fun one, man.
Mm-hmm.
October 12th, Ohio State goes to Autzen Stadium.
That's early.
Okay. That's the same week. Look, fire up there for this weekend. October 12th, you have Ohio State at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State at USC, and then, oh my gosh, you have UW at Iowa.
Oof, the clash of styles there. Well, you know what though?
That's gnarly.
Iowa will have a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they will.
So
they sure will. But that'll be a good defensive test.
It's going to be Brian Ferentz in the Bobby Valentine mask.
Don't do that to them. That's not a funny joke for those people. If you're looking at the okay,
it's
here
crying
comes
ferrets.
here comes the Big Ten weather. Oregon's trip to Michigan will be on November 2nd,
Oh yeah, but wait, there's more.
and their trip to Wisconsin is November 16th.
Let's go ahead and take a look real quick.
You gonna Farmer's Almanac them?
Yep.
All right. USC escapes any of the true Big Ten road weather. They have Washington November 2nd and November 23rd. They have UCLA. So other than that, they have home games against Nebraska and Rutgers late in the season and a trip to Maryland on October 19th, which could get squirrely. Their trip to Michigan is the 21st of September, as we told you earlier, and their trip to Minnesota is October 5th. So they escape any of that truly wild Big Ten weather. Washington has a trip to Penn State November 9th. That is a game right there. You go to Penn State on November 9th, and then they have an October 19th visit to Indiana. So they may get a little squirrely weather at that Indiana game, but it's going to be a cold one. November game in Penn State. But it's so weird to see these, but it's exciting, man, to see these matchups and what is going to be. It's quality opponents up and down, and it's something that is new. I'm going to miss the Pac-12 schedule tremendously, though, because I mean, for Oregon, you've got that Ohio State game, but after that, you got Purdue and Illinois before you have Michigan, then a game against Maryland before you go to Wisconsin, and there is a bye week. So, hey, for those wondering if there is potential for the Civil War at the end of the year, Oregon has a bye week.
There's an open week in there.
November 23rd, as does University of Washington. But it's to be determined what Oregon State and Washington State schedules look like. But November 23rd is open for both the Ducks and the Huskies. So keep an eye on that. Keep that in the back of your brain there, that could happen. But I don't know if Oregon would want to do that or Washington would want to do that.
Back-to-back rivalry weeks like that?
Well, in Oregon, that means your bye week would have to be in September. Because right now, Oregon does not have a bye from September 28th all the way down to November 23rd. No breaks.
It's the
All
USC
gas.
schedule with Notre Dame.
But they don't have Notre Dame in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, but
Notre Dame, by the way, will be played on November 9th next year for USC.
Okay, so in the last 10 years, the lowest temperature I've seen is 19.5 degrees on November 11th at Camp Randall. So it's
cool.
It's cold. The highest I've seen so far is 40.
Yeah. I mean, 40 you can deal with.
40 you can deal with. 19 is significantly
19
different.
is brutal. And oh, by the way, Oregon has 4 non-conference games scheduled for next year.
Also, if you play at night, sunset at Camp Randall in November, 4:30.
Oh, good.
It's going to be pitch black and cold.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Oregon has 4 non-conference games next year at Hawaii, Idaho, Texas Tech, and Boise State. So buckle up for that one, too.
76,000 at Camp Randall. That's going to be
It's a
the
big stadium.
cool thing about going to the Big Ten
for
both Oregon and SC is that you're going to play in.
And Washington, Washington.
I have no idea what those other programs are. Those are the only ones I'm interested in.
Pettiness knows no bounds, and I love that about
one
you.
I cover, one I root for.
I love that.
It is what it is. But they're going to be playing in cathedrals regularly.
Yeah.
And that is cool.
Yeah. It's going to be
Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin.
And like if you've never been, even like West Lafayette and going to a Purdue game, the pageantry that they have around there is pretty awesome. Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, where you have the wave with the Children's Hospital, like it's that.
And if you play a night game, the fog that rolls in around that stadium is terrifying.
We do not know right now. And to those on the text line, 503-864-6326, the Vancouver Ford text line. Right now, no, the Civil War, there is not anything scheduled between Oregon and Oregon State. There's no game technically and officially scheduled between UW and Washington State for the Apple Cup, even though Ian Furness of KJR up in Seattle, he is saying that Cougs and Dogs may be playing early next
Yeah,
season.
you're talking
not
week
late.
3, week 4, and you'd
Yeah.
move one of the non-cons.
Yeah.
To make room.
All right. So that's where we got on the scheduling front. This is really cool though to now have it finalized when and where these Big Ten schedules are going to
Yeah,
be played for
Book
next season.
your hotel rooms. Go check out a game in the Big Ten road trip.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to technically we're going to have to cover Big Ten Media Day, Dusty.
I know we need to go to Indianapolis.
We do.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Stadium. Chip Kelly said, "I would say see you there next year, but you won't." And then now we can be like,
Now-
"You can't escape us,
Yeah,
Chip.
it will be great. It would be great to see him
We'll
again.
come
Remember
at
that?
you like a spider monkey, Chip.
Hey, Chip, how's it going?
Shut your mouth, Chip. Oh, hopped up on Mountain Dew."
$20 says he would actually get that reference.
Yeah, he absolutely would.
Yeah.
He absolutely would. All right, let's talk about the games this week, though. Let's not talk about the future. Let's start diving into
Got some good ones.
We do have some good ones, and I want to talk about the Beavs here because Beavs have got a challenge, and they need to get up off the mat, and it's easier said than done. But there's one thing that they got going on their side. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports fans.
he does have the 3 most viewed Pac-12 games this year have been Colorado games. None of them have been after the shellacking that Oregon gave them, though.
No, that was the peak.
Yeah, it was the first 3 games of the year, and then they got the doors beat off them by Oregon.
The Colorado State S show actually kind of ramped up the intensity heading into the Oregon game.
But they have come back down to earth, and in doing so, and this should also be, I always want to have this disclaimer out there, because what Coach Prime and that staff have done is still amazing.
It's nothing short of miraculous. 4 wins for this team this early in the season is incredible.
So it is still very impressive what they've done, but they are still not a very good football program. They just aren't. They're not. And one thing that happened that came out this week, and it's not really getting a whole heck of a lot of coverage, but if you have been following along and you've been reading the articles around the conference, you know that Dion, he called out his offensive line in a way that it's a slippery slope on how and if you could lose a locker room, where he just said, we just got to go out and we'll find new ones. Well, coming out yesterday is Dion kind of feeling that pressure. And that fear that I was talking about the other day when we talked about this, he met privately with just his offensive line. Coach Prime did. And he said, I had a private personal meeting with the whole offensive line, and the meeting was phenomenal. I have the utmost thought process, I don't know what that means, that those guys are going to step it up tremendously. You're going to see more cohesive, more aggressive, more physical, and well-prepared group than ever before this weekend. I really do believe that. They had the closed doors meeting.
It feels like maybe it shouldn't have been closed doors after the, backing over them with the bus was so public.
Buddy, you're not kidding. And I understand the frustrations that he has, because there's nothing more demoralizing as a coach than when you can't protect your quarterback. And I can't imagine what that is when that quarterback is your kid.
Son. Yes. Look, I genuinely believe that Dion is professional, all those things. Watching your kid get hit 20 plus times in a game.
That sucks.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how divorced football dad you are. You can't separate those two things. They are compounding interests that make things exponentially worse.
Yeah, they are. And if you look at it, Colorado ranks 109th in the country in tackles allowed for loss this year. 129th. There's 133. And in sacks, they're 132nd. They have given up 66 tackles for loss, and they have allowed 42 sacks of the quarterback.
Which means Shador's been hit probably 100 times.
Shador Sanders does hold on to the ball for a long time.
But not 42 sacks in college holding on to the ball for a long time.
No. You know who's 128th in sacks allowed? I was surprised when I looked this up. Alabama.
No, that also makes sense because
they've given up 35 sacks this season.
Milroe holds onto the ball for a really long time.
Goodness gracious. But it's just like that. Still, it's a
very
large number.
I felt like there was a couple week period where like when they came back to him, where he tried to prove he could stand in the pocket and make reads, and he stood in the pocket.
Yeah, I saw this stat via the Pac-12. Do you know how many sacks Oregon has allowed the last 2 seasons?
Isn't it only like 5?
9.
Yeah,
they've allowed 9 sacks in the last 2 seasons.
9 times.
That's a combination.
9 times.
9 times.
Combination of great offensive line play and Bo Nix getting that ball out of there.
Yeah, and getting himself out of bad situations too. And that is,
if it ain't there, either tuck it and go or get rid of the ball.
Yep. And this is where I think, as it pertains to the team that Colorado's playing this week, this Oregon State team, they have the ability to pop in and have big games. Their front seven is not as deep as what was hyped up at the beginning of the year, and I was always apprehensive of how deep it was, but they are sturdy, man, and they are 59th in the country, like just above average, right? in the middle of tackles for loss and sacks nationally in the rankings. This seems like a game where the get up off the mat game that you worry about would be like going to Stanford, right? Going to Boulder for Oregon State. One, I think Jonathan Smith is a phenomenal coach, and I have very little worry when it comes to him and his guys being right when they get into a game, like in the right space mentally.
Sure.
Where they get beat is they get beat physically, right? That's where they normally lose games or fake field goals. But with this one, it just feels like their style is going to make this fight, and there is no better opponent to come off of a loss like they had than Colorado, where there's excitement in the stadium. There is a swagger to the team that you're playing, and it's easy to get up for a team that has a ton of hype around it, especially when your style of play is we bring the hammer to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that what we'll see from Oregon State this week is it's time to bludgeon opponents. The calendar is officially turned in November.
Yep.
It's that time where
It's cold weather time.
we trust our offensive linemen, we run the damn ball, and we are going to bludgeon Colorado, which cannot stop the run,
No.
and they cannot run the ball.
No.
This seems to me like a game where it is a steady dose of the run game, whether it is Martinez or DJ. Like, you are going to absolutely snowplow Boulder.
It's a get right game, but it has less to do with the wins and losses, which it does. But it's a get right with God and mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is impose our will
Yeah.
again. And it's like a recentering.
Yeah.
Their secondary, though, is going to be tested. And we know that the secondary for Oregon State is going to be tested. And this is going to be
If you let Shador
Boy.
Sanders, if you don't get to him, he is an elite quarterback. There's no
Hell yeah.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is an NFL quarterback, and
can't
not
breathe in this conference.
yeah. That's
I mean,
No.
There's no. Oh, okay, we get a week off.
yeah, no. And he's when it comes to explosive plays with Travis Hunter and who's the other?
I mean, I always want to say Howard, but I know that's wrong.
You know what I'm talking about. The other
Yeah.
wide receiver on the other end who's just a blur. They can beat you over and
Absolutely.
over and over again. It doesn't just need to be a deep ball. They can just get the ball in space. And their running back, Edwards, is one of the fastest guys in college football. Flat out. Have you seen
Xavier Weaver.
Weaver,
That's
thank
what it
you.
is.
did you know Edwards at one of the high school camps was clocked at like a 4.19?
Yeah, I saw that. I never trust those high school camp times.
I don't
because-
either, but still, like when you're sniffing those times, you're different.
Yeah.
Like you're quite literally just a different beast.
Yeah.
And when you're, let's say the 4.19's right, and he's a 4.3 guy. When you're the 4.3 flats, you're just a different human.
Yep.
And teams have done well bottling them up, but mess around, and you'll get caught.
Yep.
USC was up on them huge, and they sat back on their heels and said, "All right, we're fine," and they weren't.
Right.
If you do the same thing, you will get caught.
You don't want to get caught against a team like Colorado, which feasts on momentum. They feast
Yes.
on momentum, and that is you've got to keep them in check because right now, Beavs are sitting 4th in the Pac-12 in passing yards allowed, which is really damn good. It is really.
You had
Really
me
good.
confused there. I thought you meant they had allowed the 4th most, and I was like, "What?"
No.
It's like, how the hell did that happen? That's
No.
not what I saw.
No, but when you look at who they've played in the Pac-12 schedule to this point, they have not played
The aired out teams.
the aired out teams. They've played Washington State, which is, and that was a game where they allowed 422 yards. They played Utah,
Which
Cal,
can't throw the ball.
which runs the ball,
Mm-hmm.
UCLA,
Which they played Ethan Moore or Dante
Garbers.
Moore. Not
Ethan Garbers.
was Garber starting that game?
You said Ethan Moore.
Yeah, I know,
You're,
but
you're just mixing them
I meant to
both
say
up.
Dante Moore
I think
started
they
that
both
game.
played in that game. Yeah.
They switched to Garbers later in that game.
They only threw
finally.
for 166
Yeah,
yards.
remember-
That's the point.
Yes.
They have not been prolific through the air.
No.
And then they played Arizona last week with Noah Fafita, who threw for 275.
And beat them.
That's right.
So
That's right. But now they get some of the big guns in the Pac-12,
Mhm.
and this is where the schedule has kind of built up in a way that's good for Oregon State. but they've also been tried and tested in the secondary against teams like Washington State, and look, they pulled out of Pullman with a loss in that game because of that secondary kind of letting them down. And the pass rush has got to be there, and I think that's where the big advantage is. If Oregon State can get home and make Shedeur Sanders uncomfortable, that's where you win that game and you lighten up that load on the secondary.
Speaking of uncomfortable, how uncomfortable are you supposed to be in an airplane? Coming up next here in Danny and Dusty. But first, here's Big Kahuna Sports Center Update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Week 9 of the NFL begins tonight in Pittsburgh. The Steelers hosting the Titans. Will Levis gets his second straight start for Tennessee as Ryan Tannehill still out with an ankle injury. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Steelers are 3-point favorites. One other note from the NFL, Seahawks cornerback Devin Witherspoon named NFC Defensive Rookie of the Month for October. On the hard court, the Trailblazers off tonight as they head back home. Winners of their last two on the road. They've got two games Friday and Sunday, against the Grizzlies before hitting the road again for a 3-game trip. And sad news out of the association, 1978 Rookie of the Year and 6-time All-Star Walter Davis has passed away. Davis played 11 seasons in Phoenix after being drafted number 5 overall out of UNC in 1977. He then played a season and a half in Denver before being traded to Portland during the 1991 season, then returned to the Nuggets for one more go. Walter Davis was 69. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Sponsor
with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
It's a question as old as time for our worst day on the web. Can you or should you be able to put your seat back on an airplane?
I will say two very different questions. Can you or should you?
Those are two very different questions. All right.
I will just say, if you're not supposed to, they should make it so they don't.
Yeah. Well, then by that logic, you should smoke on an aircraft because there's ashtrays everywhere.
I mean, bring back smoking flights.
Yeah. I went to the restroom on the airplane, and it was a brand new airplane, and I looked, and they have it in the back. Why do they have that in the bathroom still? There's still an ashtray in the bathroom on the door. I was like,
it's a federal crime to tamper with with the smoke alarm.
But do you know what the ashtray has on it? The little sign that says "Do not smoke." I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
It's weird.
It's like I get that all aircraft are like made in the same place kind of situation, but they're shipped all over the world where there's different rules.
Can our friends at Boeing help us here?
Yeah, I'm like, maybe just take the ashtray out of the base model and like have the ashtray be the upgrade.
We're gonna have to check the tape. Did he just say ashtray?
I thought I caught that.
Ash.
If I ask you a question.
He said it in back to back, so there's going to be two of them. So make sure you get both of them. He corrected the second one, but the first one sounded like an ashtray, which is going to be a phenomenal drop.
I mean, to be
Here we go
fair,
to the Zapruder film.
that's a bigger tray.
It is.
Especially when we're talking about my ass.
It is a big tray.
But as is it is wont to do, when somebody reclines their seat. This is kind of the if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make noise.
Do we know where this audio that we have is from, Russ? Like what flight? Because it's somewhere in the South.
Oh yeah, I didn't say anything about that.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's either
Tell
like
by the diction real quick whereabouts
it's
from.
in the South, but I can't tell. Like this screams Florida.
I'm gonna go Mississippi.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna say it's like I want to say Florida.
Or actually, it's
Texas.
it's flying. It's flying out of Atlanta.
I'm going Dallas in this one. I'm gonna guess Dallas. Rust is gonna research, but this argument went down on a plane.
As it does.
The whole trip, she pushed my seat. No, you seen it. No, she didn't. She put, no. I'm allowed to put my seat back. I'm allowed to put my seat back. I'm allowed to put my seat back.
I'm allowed to put my seat back.
I can't.
And she's a...
You seen it.
You seen it?
You seen it.
Also, I will just say, for those that have not seen the video, she is a petite little blonde from the South.
Yeah.
She's not a large human. She about $140.
Yeah.
Her reclining her seat is like she can ball up in the seat. You know what I mean? She curl up in the seat and take a little nap.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that your size.
It does
your
matter.
Size dictates whether or not you should be able to recline.
Yes.
If you're a big person, I don't have any problem with it. But I also believe this. If you have a big person behind you, you should do a courtesy check. Take a look back. If there's a big person behind you, be respectful because they're crammed in there anyway.
Yes.
Airlines are doing us no favors.
No.
The room that we have on airlines is getting smaller and smaller, and the tickets are getting more and more expensive, which is stupid.
Yes. My knees are in the I'm not even that big of a dude, and my knees are in seats. It's like, come on, man. Like what?
It's not comfortable.
What are we doing here? If you're over like 225 and you're 6 foot tall, it's gonna be a miserable flight unless you're in first class.
Yes, and you're not even 6 feet tall.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not okay.
It's not an okay thing to be that to impede on people. But I will also say that it's not something. If somebody reclines their seat, I don't understand the I'm going to kick and push the seat, which is what this lady is accusing the lady behind her to do. Ask somebody respectfully to do it, and if they don't, I still wouldn't be like, I'm going to kick and push the seat because, like, the seat does recline.
Mhm.
Like, you should, if it reclines, like, they should be allowed to recline it. It's not your fault. Take it up with the airline, not
with
with
Boeing.
them. And you recline your seat then. We
The-
just have the chain reaction going
There
on.
was a video that I saw last week of a guy sitting in a seat, and then he was in the look at the international flight. So you had the middle row
Mm-hmm.
where it's like 6 seats in the middle, but
Yep.
he had the edge seat, and the guy behind him put his foot
No.
on the guy in front of him's
That's criminal.
armrest.
No, that's criminal. That
And the guy went to go put his arm on the armrest and felt his foot,
No.
and he was like, "Bro, I need you to move your foot." And he's like, "No, I'm good."
No.
And to be clear, the guy who asked first for the guy to move his foot was being very nice, but also a large man. And the guy
You don't
behind
do
him
that.
was not a large man.
No. Well, yeah, because you're not putting your foot up on an armrest if you're a large man.
Oh no! And not only that, he like finally pushes the guy's foot off
Yeah.
the armrest. Like, nah, this is not happening. The guy puts it back on, like puts his foot on the guy's arm, and he looks at him and gives him the look, like, "I'm gonna snap you in half if you don't move your foot." And he's like, he throws his foot off the armrest one more time. And then the guy goes, "Okay, fine." And he pulls his feet behind and puts both of his feet into the back of the chair.
What a D-bag.
Grown ass man, 55, 60 years old.
That guy, prison.
Oh,
Prison.
so
He deserves to go to prison.
the guy in the front gets ready to stand up, and the guy, I don't know if he just didn't like analyze the situation or if his analyze was like his wires got crossed.
Yeah.
He puffed his chest and stood up, the guy in the back. Little guy.
no.
Looked about 5'9", about $150.
No. Truck nuts.
Yeah. The other guy stood up at about 6'4", 260.
Whoa.
And the little man goes, "I'm going to sit back down." And that ended up being the end of that after he went chest to chest with him. But it's like, you do.
Or it sounds like maybe more nose to chest.
Yeah, but it was like
Nose to belly button.
the audacity of some people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised that this woman in this clip goes, she was doing it the whole flight. Number one, stop being so passive aggressive.
Right.
I'm with you. If you want to recline your seat, recline your seat. If
Talk
it's
to somebody about
figured,
it.
if you can figure it out. Don't get to the end of the flight and be like, "You were doing this the whole flight." No. You don't get to have your seat back and be passive aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not how this works. I fully believe in reclining said seat.
Yeah.
A person in front of me does it. I don't care.
I don't either.
As long as it's not like one of those ones where the seat goes back a ton and like it quite literally like crushes the tops of my knees.
Yeah.
Then I'll be like,
As long as you don't mind me smelling your hair.
Yeah.
When you recline.
or
back.
if you're watching a good movie, me peeking over and watching it. What you got there?
Creepy that would
Yeah.
be. What do you watch? What do you watch?
That
What
looks
you got
good.
there?
You got a spare headphone?
But people get fired up on planes. Like what?
Yeah, because it's not fun. It's like it's literally a cattle car for humans.
Yeah. Just relax.
You've flown first class, haven't you?
No.
Really?
Never.
Oh, buddy.
I have on a couple of short flights. So
Hey,
it's been
Big Ten mini days.
the last time I did was flying to Idaho, and it was a short flight, and it wasn't even really like in a separate cabin. It was kind of
the curtain?
separated. Yeah, and even a curtain, it had like some of those plastic sheeting basically.
Oh, that
hanging
hangs
between-
down?
Yeah, so it was kind of first class ish. I mean, the seat was a little wider, but yeah, it's like I felt like I got a little ripped off on that one.
I feel like I get ripped off on every flight ever.
But I will say,
Full stop. Like
Yeah.
this is at some point there has to be a reckoning, right? Where we go airlines, television and internet providers,
Mhm.
cell phone. I think cell phones have gotten better. I think the cell industry is maybe getting a little bit better at the way they treat people. But those are the three biggest offenders. And and garbage.
yeah, that's a right.
Garbage retrieval, but also you're taking my garbage, so I kind of am okay with you treating me poorly over it.
I'm not.
Because I'm not going to do
You'll
it.
get charged extra if your lid does not close all the way. If
That's
it
right.
peeks open like an inch,
They
they will
haven't
charge
picked
you
up
extra.
my yard debris in 3 cycles, and I'm about to go nuclear on somebody. I've
Yeah.
left it outside of my curb for a month now.
Yeah, I'm wondering what you're going to do to them.
Do you think they're going to be? They will.
Because you're
There
messing
will be
with,
more
like, the
than
mob.
one. Well, I mean, there will be
I've
more
seen
than
Sopranos.
one body in that yard debris. Now.
Whoa.
It's mulch. It's mulch. How do you get such a
One,
burgundy
two,
color in your
three,
mulch?
4. Cameras everywhere. This guy. Microphones in front of him.
I will say, though, a great way to get like extra benefits in the first class on the short flight is, like I said, to Idaho, it's like 45 minutes, right?
Sure.
I told the flight attendant I was going to meet up with the wife and we're staying with the in-laws. Yeah, she dropped 5 of the vodka mini bottles on my tray.
Ooh, nice.
She was picking up what you were putting
Yeah,
down.
she was
What
like, "You're gonna
T-shirt
need
were you
these."
wearing? What T-shirt were you wearing?
Probably a Bill Murray.
Yeah, you need to get for like that flight. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Yeah,
Sure.
there you go. But I will say, find a way on a flight
Yeah.
to scrounge up because it's not cheap for some of the longer ones for sure.
Yeah.
But if you can get the first class on a flight over 5 hours, my goodness, does it make a trip worth it?
Okay.
It's zen like when you can actually stretch the legs out.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's game changer.
Oh, also, we do have the evidence if we want to review.
The ashtray.
Yeah. You said ashtray.
Wait, play it again. The ashtray.
You said ashtray.
Also, I was very nasally there. Ashtray.
Yeah.
The ashtray.
Yeah.
God, is that sped up?
No,
it's
no, that
not.
is regular speed, my friend.
Yeah.
Man, that's not a good look for me.
It sounded
It's
weird.
both-
It sounded
it's
weird
both
in the
ast-
moment.
You know what it is? I think the nasally tone there made me
Yeah.
made the inflection go to ashtray.
Yeah. Whatever makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Do you just snort again?
Not me.
That's Danny from the other day.
That's me. He sat in for you on Friday. Did you grab yours?
You had another one?
Well, I didn't grab. I wasn't back over on this side, so no, I didn't.
Oh,
Don't.
We already
don't
have
you
evidence
dare.
of me on here doing it.
he had a good one on Friday when you were out.
See, me, Danny, me, Danny.
Where's his?
I don't snort.
Oh no, you had yours last week.
What?
You had a snort last week.
No, I did.
Yes.
I don't think I have a dusty snort.
Oh
don't-
man,
I don't think I did.
you did. 100%
We
did.
got this one.
Ew. That's nasty.
That sounds like the sound that one might make when they find out they're getting sued for the stupidest reason. Coming up on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on demand.
I'm going to give it to you. Give it to me.
Service Patriots brings you fan podcasts on pace for 2.5 million listens and downloads in 2023.
Oh my God, that is impressive.
Service Patriots is your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. Service Patriots podcasts on 1080.
It's hot. I need milk.
The Fan.
Do you like helping people and want a career that truly makes a difference? Allied Universal, the contracted security partner for TriMet, has immediate openings for transit security officers and command center operators throughout the Portland metro area. In these important roles, you'll help ensure the safety of TriMet riders and employees. Security officer jobs start at more than $27 an hour with medical, dental, and vision coverage. Learn more and apply today at trimet.org/safe. That's trimet.org/safe.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old,
ticket?
No.
Well, on there it tells you, be prepared because balls may come flying at your face. Go ahead. I gave you that one. I teed it up. But yeah, it says basically protect yourself at all times.
It does. And that's kind of like, I think there's like this agreement when you enter a stadium that
pay attention.
A ball, a bat. It's like one of the things that when you first take your kids to a baseball game, you go down hey, you've got to be paying attention, especially if you're sitting close, because something may come flying your way. You got to be ready for it at all times. And that's what makes this story that much more dumb.
It does, because it turns out a fan at a Braves World Series game is now suing Jorge Soler after he threw a ball into the stands and it hit her in the face.
Not just World Series MVP Jorge Soler, she's also suing the Braves.
Yes.
Like, not knowing what was going to happen, because all that happened, and what she's saying is that when Soler, at the end of an inning, as, I don't know, every big league ball player does, flipped the ball into the stadium, he threw it overhand and at a velocity that caused severe damage.
Extensive and excruciating injury is the wording that they have.
There's a picture that has a very big like bandage over her eye, and then right next to it there is a picture of her eye shortly after. If you Google her, Myra Norris, she got a black eye. Like, she got a black eye, and that does suck for her. But here's the thing. Pay attention. When a ball comes flying your way, pay attention. And the thing that is terrible about this is that it's not like you didn't see it coming and you didn't know what was happening. Because at the end of every inning, what happens? Somebody throws the ball into the stands.
Yes, and her explanation is, or the reason they're suing, and they very much cite the ticket. By attending this game, ticket holders deemed to have given a full release of liability to the entities to the fullest extent permitted by law. Yeah, that's pretty conclusive. You walk in the door, you forfeit your rights due to injury prevented by the game.
I wonder how quickly this one gets thrown out, because
I hope she doesn't get a penny.
There's two things that it does suck. Yeah,
it sucks.
Your eye got mole hit up, and that sucks.
Dems the brakes.
But long term, like, she's gonna get a buck, but
I hope not.
If kids aren't because the cool thing is that when those balls get thrown into the stands, they're meant for kids to catch.
Yeah.
Or hots. And if the kid, like,
with the DM
that is such a rush for any kid that's at a game to scramble for that ball, to rest for the ball, or for some adults that steal it from the kids.
Yes.
I don't understand you people. But it is a really cool thing, and you cherish those moments forever. I mean, I remember going to, like, Portland Beavers games, and Chip Hale was playing for the Portland Beavers, and he flipped a ball to me. Like, Chip Hale was my favorite baseball player for, like, 3 years after that, because he tossed me a ball as he was heading into the dugout. That was awesome. And if that stops, I feel awful for, like, every future kid that goes to games.
All because of Karen.
Yeah, Myra.
Yeah.
In Atlanta can't handle the fact that Jorge Soler threw a ball into the stands and she wasn't paying attention, and it hit her in the face.
And it wasn't Jorge Soler winding up and pitching it from the field into the first row.
Yeah, I hope a judge has common sense and throws this thing out.
I hope she doesn't get a penny.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Right. But the fact that she's even bringing the case just shows you just how ridiculous she is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when you go to a baseball game, this is our public service announcement. We don't want this to happen anymore. Don't be surprised if you get hit in the face with a baseball at a baseball game.
Look, if you're going to get hit in the face because you got a bad glove hand. Yeah. Not because you're a dummy.
All right. Dang.
It's that simple.
Yep.
Did you see the video of the guy from the game the other day? There was a pop-up going over to the third baseline.
Mm-hmm.
He missed that one. Looked like it probably hurt his thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was not terribly coordinated. Another batted ball, liner, grounder, whatever, bounces up, hits him square in the chest and bounces off of him. Then the ball girl, boy, whatever, grabbed the ball, came and to go throw it to the guy, and just basically threw up all over himself and couldn't catch it again.
Oh my god!
And like the lady next to him, like after the third one, she just started dying and put her hands in her face, laughing her ass.
At that point, like you divorce him.
It was fantastic.
Like if my wife left, if I was that dude, my wife left me after that, I'd be like, I get it. Like I deserve that.
Yeah.
I don't deserve to be married to anybody. Like I don't care if it's you or any other human being walking this earth. I deserve to be alone.
What's the third baseman that refuses to take the grounder in his contract here in Major League?
Oh, Roger Dorn.
Yeah.
Corbin Burnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're married to old Dorn there.
Yeah. Like you
rolling out his
do that.
prenup at you at the ballpark.
You see, but what
You
did
can't leave me for this.
Okay, but what did his wife do? She slept with Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. And I get it.
Yeah.
And he should have understood that. You can't field the grounder. Them's the breaks, bro.
It's an alternative world. There you go.
Yeah.
It is Thursday. It is nearly 2:00, which means it's time for our picks. We'll get to those and next coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Balls make with the winner chicken dinner this week. We were 3-2 this weekend?
Again.
What? 3-2 this weekend bumps you up to over 500, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's
as long as
go.
you are 51%, you are beating the house.
21-19, baby.
Babe. Jeff Ross 21-19 on the season.
Hot beef, baby.
Dusty 19-21. I am 24-14-2. Whoop whoop.
That's pretty cool, I guess.
Not too
That was
shit.
the wrong drop.
I mean, it is pretty cool, I guess.
It is pretty cool. It is very cool, I guess.
Indeed.
Wow.
Jeff Russ, you lead us off. You went 3-2. Kick us off, buddy.
Well, Jags are on a bye this week, so I have to pick 5 different other games. I've been, I think now including last week, I'm 6-2 on my Jags picks on the season.
First year we took it to the limit.
That's right. We're going to take this to Kansas City hosting the Dolphins. The Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites. They've been struggling lately, but they're going back home. Miami has not beaten a team with a winning record since week 3 of last year. I'm going to stick with that and give me the Chiefs minus
All
1.5.
right, I'm going to go against that pick because they're not in Kansas City. They're in Frankfurt,
that's
Germany.
right. Damn it.
And here's why I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are leaving 5 days in advance for the trip. The Chiefs are leaving tomorrow.
We talked about this literally last year.
Yeah.
There is zero reason for you to not pack up and go early.
I was
on Monday.
I was reading this. Joe Pampliano, he's
Yes.
like a sports business kind of
Yeah.
crossover
The
media
adjacent.
guy. Yeah, he had a really good kind of breakdown of this, and because he covers F1, Formula One racing, and he said, look, like if you go by the way that F1 does it, if you travel more than 5 hours in your time zones, then and you don't give yourself 5 days or more to adapt, then you should just stick to your normal sleep schedule so your body doesn't get thrown out of balance. That would mean that if the Chiefs players were to go to bed at, say, 9 o'clock at night in Kansas City, that's 3 a.m. in Germany, in Frankfurt, where they're playing. Their game is at 2:30 p.m. So you can't even get a full allotment of sleep if you try to keep your body clock similar. So because they're going 2 days before the game, they're going to be thrown off, period.
Yes.
Because staying at home and trying to acclimate even while you're at home, it doesn't work the
No.
same because of the daylight and all that stuff.
Your circadian rhythms.
So
Sounds like somebody did their homework here for this one.
Joe Pompliano did the homework, and I'm just
wasn't
going to
me.
ride it. Look, I went 2-3 last week, so
Well, I'm going to go against basically every rule that exists, and I'm going to go against the Steelers at home
hot
against
day.
a rookie quarterback. I am taking the Titans, or as I put it on the doc, the Titans. That is a Titans +3 at the Steelers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a road dog. I'm going to take the Titans and Will Levis. I'm riding the Will Levis wave against Mike Tomlin, who eats rookies for breakfast.
tight ants kind of sounds like what you get when you see Ant Simons play well in a basketball game.
Babe.
You get your tight ants going on.
We've got the Packers hosting the Rams as 3.5-point favorites. I'm not quite sure why. So give me that road dog. Rams +3.5.
Oh my gosh, are we just going against each other and everything today?
Also, you want to know why the
Bring
Rams are not favored? Matthew Stafford's probably out.
Yep. And that's why I'm going with the Packers.
That's the thing. It said everybody was questionable on there. I didn't even see Steph.
It's not a good question.
I'm going Packers. And the reason why I'm going Packers is because, remember, that was the bet that I told Ryan Horvath I would be placing at the time of our interview yesterday, and I did it, so I'm going to ride with it.
I like where you're going.
Packers.
I like where you're going. I am going to go Eagles -3 at home against the Cowboys. This has stinky line written all over it, but I'm taking it. Birds, Cowboys. I feel like this is a game where the Cowboys are going to be all up in their feelings about it, and the Eagles are going to go, oh, okay, we're going to take care of you again. And it's going to be super anticlimactic, and it's a 10-point game. I know the Cowboys defense is good. It's really good.
Yeah.
And the Eagles haven't looked great, and they're a little dinged up.
Yeah.
Don't trust Dak Prescott. Also, a little reminder for the poll. Who would you trust more the rest of the season, Jared Goff or Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott was crushed in that poll, 72 to 28%.
Yeah. All right. I am also on that game, and I think this speaks for itself.
Eagles, baby.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's right.
The Houston Texans are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 2.5-point favorites. Houston, actually, they're starting to get some things together. I think they're 2-1 at home on the season. They're playing at home. I still don't trust Baker Mayfield. I don't know if I ever will.
It's undeniable, which means it can't be denied.
That's right. Houston's 2.5-point favorites. Give me that.
Oh, it's me. Huh?
Am I up?
No, it's you. Yeah.
Give it to me all day.
I am going to... I feel very uncomfortable about that drop that Jeff Rush just said and played. And then I'm going to move on to my next game, and this one is a tough one for me because I don't trust them, but I feel like they may have found something, and I don't trust their opponent even more.
Go Chargers. Oh, yeah, I stayed away.
Minus 3.5 on the road, playing the Jets. I'm going road favorite, which is a... And I'm taking the Chargers to win on the road.
I am doing something against my better judgment, and I am betting on the Raiders for the second time this season. Raiders minus 1.5, getting the fired their crappy coach boost against the Giants, who are a despicably awful team. Okay. Please, Raiders, you cannot lose to the Bears and the Giants in the same season. Although if you do, I won't be that mad because you are going for a quarterback. Remember that.
So wait a minute. You are telling me that you didn't trust the Chargers at all against the Jets, but you're going to trust the Aiden O'Connell-led Raiders?
It's the Giants.
The Jets had to beat them in overtime.
Okay.
You act like you're not talking about the Raiders.
I am. I know where my head's at. The only reason I'm going for this is the coach bump. We got rid of the a-hole in charge bump. That's what I'm writing here. I'm actually kind of hoping that they don't win. This is actually a game that I'm talking about a line here. I am not putting money on.
This is what desperate people sound and look like. You are pleading right now.
I am justifying this in my head. I have played every other game this season on my app. I will not play this game because I don't trust it enough to put money on it.
This is Danny's dear 6-pound, 8-ounce sweet baby Jesus.
Yes, 100%.
I am looking at the stages of grief right now. Of the 7 stages of grief, you've gone through anger. We're now in bargaining, and then you'll get to sadness, depression, denial, shock, acceptance, and guilt.
That's the Kubler-Ross, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know here.
Works for me.
Well, we have 5. Yeah, Kubler-Ross has 5. Come on. Somebody needed to make a buck, so they added
2 more
steps.
There you go.
Denial, anger, bargaining. You're in the 3rd stage of this. Because at the beginning of the year, you 100% were in denial of how bad that team was going to be. And USC. 100% denial.
97%. 97%.
Still there. Anger is something that we're still seeing it with SC.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're bargaining.
Yeah.
All right.
No, the anger will take over when they somehow manage to win 2 more games and get themselves out of a spot to draft a quarterback.
No, that's when you hit the 4th step, which is depression.
Oh, yeah, that one. That's going to hit like a truck. Good thing, though, you got me that bottle of tequila.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Casamigos.
A little sip-sip-sipperoo.
Buffalo at Cincinnati. I feel like, I don't want to say they're headed in opposite directions, but Cincinnati seems to be trending more upward than Buffalo. They've won their last 3 straight against 2 pretty good teams. And the Cardinals. But they're favored by Buffalo over 1.5, or by 1.5. I'm going to take Cincinnati minus 1.5.
Okay.
Cincinnati minus 1.5. I don't know.
It scares me.
Yeah.
Staying away. That's why I'm going to take my final one is I'm taking the under. Steelers Titans tonight. 37 is the over-under. Just don't feel it. Yeah. I don't feel like the Steelers are going to score.
That's a super low number.
And I have a feeling that you have Mike Tomlin.
Rookie quarterback.
And a rookie quarterback. Dial something up for him.
Yeah, no,
yeah, but Mike Tomlin hasn't faced a rookie quarterback by the name of Willie Jeans.
Yeah,
Billy Jeans, excuse me.
Billy Jeans, Will Levis,
Jeans.
which looks like Will Levis.
Yes. Billy Jeans.
Billy Jeans is a great nickname. I'm not gonna lie.
Pretty good one.
Apparently, I screwed up the order
Not my
because I
girl.
have 2 left. I'm taking Bucks plus 3.5 at the Texans. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a road dog. Plus 3.5. I think the Texans win this game, but I think this is one of those like 21-23 games.
Okay.
So the Bucks cover, but the Texans win.
Okay.
I think that's the world we're living in here.
That's fair.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And then I'm going spicy again. Another road dog. Seahawks plus 6 at the Ravens.
That line is big.
It's a big line. That's what I was like. You're giving the Seahawks 6 points. I know they're flying across the country.
Yeah,
and
they don't do well in that early
do
window.
Really, like the West teams do really bad in the early window. The Seahawks specifically are awful in the early window. But it's like
so good luck with that.
6 is a big number.
Yeah.
So taking the points.
Do you know what Lamar Jackson's record is against the NFC? And this is weird. I saw his.
It's either wildly good or wildly
Yeah.
bad. It's not going to be anything in
No,
between.
because I saw the audio clip of him where he was told his record against the NFC, and he plugged his ears and went, nah, 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 nah. He's like, I don't want to know this because it doesn't matter. He's 17-1 against the NFC. I mean, that doesn't mean by plus 6. I mean, he could win by 1.
Yeah.
Right? But that is an
bonkers
anomaly
number. Yeah.
among a league of anomalies.
Yes.
Is Lamar Jackson
You're the
being
season record.
17-1?
You're a full New England's Patriots against the NFC.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I got one more. Monday Night Football, the Chargers and the Jets. The Chargers, look, they've lost 2, they won 2, they lost 2, they've won 1. It's time for one more W before a loss, so give me the Chargers minus 3.5.
All right.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The picks, lock them in. Only for entertainment purposes. Clearly, of course. So we do here every week, Thursday at 2 o'clock, our NFL picks. When we come back,
Oh my gosh.
look, the college football playoff picture is becoming clear. There's a team that's not in the top 5 that a lot of folks are talking about. That coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football.
nice, juicy win against the Oregon Ducks. And if you go across the country, there are a lot of folks out there that have praise for the old Quackers.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I think after the performance up in Seattle, there was like this lingering of, man, that was a really good team.
Really good team, really good game.
Really good football game that we had up there. But then bouncing back in the ensuing weeks and seeing, I think there is value in this because we talked about this after, the lackluster performances that we saw from Washington, that we saw from, who are the other teams, the Midwest teams that we saw? Notre Dame and USC. Like, they both just kind of looked lethargic after rivalry games. And it's really hard after a rivalry game to get amped up again and to carry it over to the next week. And Oregon looked really slow against Washington State even at following that. Like, there was a slow crawl, and it's like, gosh, it just doesn't sit right. But they ended up expounding that lead, and did it convincingly. And then what Oregon did down at Utah, they're getting a ton of credit nationally for it.
Because Kyle Whittingham has got a program that doesn't get punked. And they got punked last week.
And if we're being quite honest, if any other team in the country is as beat up as Utah is, and that performance happens the way that it shook out,
they're getting a lot of excuses.
Then people are going, Oregon beat up on a weak Utah team.
But it's Kyle Whittingham's team that always brings it.
There is a history and a tradition that Kyle Whittingham has built, and it is an earned reputation that no matter who goes down, they're still going to be tough. And 29 of 30 games won at home and 18 in a row at home, that feeds to that.
Yes, 100%.
They don't. What happened to them? It does not happen to other teams. And I think one thing that people are starting to see that wasn't there at the beginning of the year, and I've been talking about this, and we've on the show have talked about this quite often, is the growth and development that we have seen on the defensive line in particular, right? In the front seven defensively in particular, where they moved some safeties up into the box and they were playing speed 53 and a third, right? Sideline to sideline, they want to make sure that they can cover everything. Justin Jacobs has gotten healthy. They got a little bit more lead in the pencil back behind the defensive line. But the rotation of the defensive line is something that it takes time to get used to playing that few of snaps, but being that dominant.
Sure.
And what we have seen over the last handful of weeks, and we first started to see them kind of turn that corner at Texas Tech. We saw them turn that corner in the second half against Washington. That comfort level, and then when they are leaning on teams because they play 12 guys, that goes a long way. And that's where you hear guys like Urban Meyer on his podcast when he's talking about what team looks like the best one in the country.
Who's kind of just laying out there you think could really jump in the next 4 weeks?
You just put videotape as a guy that's watched tape forever. And I'm saying Oregon might be the best team in the country, just on videotape.
Wow.
And that offense, defense, kicking, that's the way they play. They play really hard. They're really well coached. But they lost. So, I'm the head coach. Just say don't lose because we have a great team. But you did lose. But on videotape, I'm saying from a lot of years of experience, it's hard for me to say Oregon's might be the best team in the country.
That's pretty high praise. Look, Urban Meyer's a dirtbag. He's a hell of a coach.
He's a scumbag.
He knows the game inside and out. And for me, when I watch Oregon, I don't get the overwhelming dominance that you get from like the Georgia defense last year. But what you do get is that teams are going 3 and out. They're not sustaining drives. They're not breaking big plays. They get them off the field. Are they getting turnovers at an insane rate leading the country? No. Are they getting an insane level of sacks or tackles for loss? No. But what they are doing is playing technically sound fundamental football where you can't do a damn thing consistently against them.
Yep.
And with that, they do it every drive.
What they have, and if you're looking for generationally good, no, they're still a long ways from that.
But they're really good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so maybe our brains are skewed to the idea of what the Georgia and Alabama defenses were that just broke people's backs because you could do nothing against them. But that's not college football anymore.
Yeah.
You can't have that depth. You can't recruit like that anymore. where you've got layers and layers and layers of dudes.
The incredible part of what they're doing, though, is that if you look at where Oregon stacks up, not just in the conference, but nationally, they currently are third nationally in scoring offense. And in scoring defense, they are 11th.
Yeah.
That's
what matters, is points.
That is dominance on both sides of the ball.
100%.
And like that is something that it can't be discounted. And look, we can also be honest in this and say Oregon's schedule has not been the toughest schedule in the country. And that's okay. It's what you do against that schedule, right? And with Washington, the critics of Oregon, they are justified in this critique of saying, hey, they've played two really good teams, one elite team, and they lost to the elite team.
Yes.
And I get it.
And they bludgeoned the hell out of the really good team.
I wholeheartedly, I believe it. I get it. Yeah, did they scrape by at Texas Tech? Yes, they did. But the thing about college football that we get lost in every single year, because everybody talks about, the top 4 teams, is that, they lost. Winning on the road is hard.
Yeah. Remember, the one I keep going back to.
Winning on the road is hard.
Nobody talks about Georgia almost losing to Kentucky last year.
Yep.
Nobody mentions that when the fact that that Georgia team could beat an NFL team. Like, they struggled with Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay? Those scrape-by games, they happen. As long as you survive in advance, that's what matters.
And this is where you sit there and you're like, all right, Urban Meyer says it. We've heard Joel Klatt say it. Joel Klatt says that, they're top 2 teams that he's seen all season long. Okay. Kirk Herbstreit on the college football playoff unveiling had high praise for the Ducks.
I wouldn't want to play Oregon right now.
I agree.
If you're asking me who I think the best team is, not the most deserving, I'm not saying they should be number 1. If you're asking me who I would not want to play, it would be Oregon.
That's a Herbstreit
on a
answer.
neutral
Make sure
side.
covering all his bases.
But I'm going to tell. I was
Just
telling you
being-
this.
being honest.
I've been saying I think Oregon can win the national championship.
they can.
I don't think there's any
That's
question
why I
about it.
pointed out that if you look at the last couple of weeks, since the Oregon-Washington game, if you said who looks like the better team, it's not close. Oregon looks like the better team.
They're playing really good football right now. And like this is where I think the hardest part for a coach and for a team is to, when everybody starts talking about you in this vein.
Don't get too high on your own supply.
It is really stinking hard. And that is what you start fighting against. Is all right, we heard this from Lincoln Riley and everybody's like, oh my God, okay. The expectations got to him, right? Expectations can get to you.
Because it is still kids, and it's very easy to let that happen. If you're not Kirby, you're not Saban, where you've got this to fall back on.
And that is maybe where Oregon is a little bit different, is that most of that staff comes from the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. We know how to go down this road, and we've seen how, but you don't really know it until you're in it, right? And this year, they're actually in it. I think Dan Lanning is ahead of schedule with what, like last year was, hey, they're a year ahead of schedule. I still think the depth that they've been able to put together on the defensive side of the ball is wild.
Yeah.
Having to replace 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen and for that O-line to come together and is getting better.
They did it better than USC did.
It's pretty impressive. Like you sit there and you're like, gosh, okay. And I get it. Like, it seems like there's a lot of smoke being blown, but what the coaching staff has to do is to kind of knock everybody down a peg. I think that's what Lanning does a really good job of. But the hardest part of this week isn't going to be Kirk Herbstreit or Joel Klatt or Urban Meyer saying the Ducks are so great. I think the hardest part for this team, the biggest hurdle to get over, is the fact that Dan Lanning himself has said that it was their first 4-quarter of football game. Like when the coach, even after the game, Lanning was smiling ear to ear, man, because they played a full 60 minutes, and that may be a bigger hurdle to climb over than anything else that's being said outside of that program. you know, because when that guy is the one who says it, that's where you're like, whoa, we have reached another kind of level in our progression over the season. this season is not even close to being done. It's ramping up because they have 3 really tough games if they want to be in that conversation for the college football playoff.
Indeed. And they have one that maybe not quite as tough.
Yeah.
That's coming up this week against the Cal Golden Bears. We have Justin Wilcox, who knows very much what it's like to play in Autzen. We'll get to his comments and more. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Week 9 of the NFL begins tonight in Pittsburgh. The Steelers hosting the Titans. Will Levis getting the second straight start for Tennessee as Ryan Tannehill out with an ankle injury. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Steelers are 3-point favorites. Among the NFL's monthly award winners, Seahawks quarterback Devin Witherspoon named NFC Defensive Rookie of the Month for October. On the hard court, the Blazers off tonight as they head back home. Winners of their last 2 on the road. They got 2 games at home Friday and Sunday against the Grizzlies before hitting the road again for a three-game trip. And sad news out of the association. 1978 Rookie of the Year and 6-time All-Star Walter Davis has passed away. Davis played 11 seasons in Phoenix after being drafted number 5 overall out of UNC in 1977. He then played a season and a half in Denver before being traded to Portland during the 90-91 season and returned to the Nuggets for one more go in 91-92. Walter Davis was 69. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rush at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sports book powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty. Weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
fields behind the outdoor practice fields were the Wilcox family fields.
Yeah, they're named after that Wilcox, that family.
Well, yeah, you have
His father.
Yeah, his dad, his uncle, his brother, and him all playing at Oregon. They're the first family of Oregon football.
Indeed, and so
very important,
very familiar with
people.
Autzen. He said when asked about this upcoming weekend, it's a great environment to play in, and our guys will enjoy it. The noise is significant, and we have a plan for that. But then he quickly wanted to talk about the challenge that it will.
I wonder what that is.
Yeah, the challenge that it will prevent on both sides of the ball. But he goes in to talk about Bo Nix, who does a lot of the line of scrimmage. They have a great scheme, no doubt. Some teams, they get up there, freeze it, and everyone looks at the sideline. But Nix handles a lot at the line of scrimmage, so he knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing.
Well,
he's the most experienced quarterback in
quite literally ever in FBS history.
In
FBS history, Bo Nix last week became the all-time leader in starts at 55.
Yeah.
He will set the record for every game he continues to start. He will go for number 56 this weekend.
And I don't think any people realize this. That is a record that will never be touched again.
Because of redshirt years, because of COVID years, because of everything that happened, the transfer year, everything that comes into this. Do the math. 12 times 4 is 48.
Yeah.
We're at 55, and he's going to add 5 more games. He's going to hit 60, 61 counting, or potentially 62.
If you had a true freshman that made the college football, as they expand to 12 teams, if he made the college football playoff every year.
You add the 2 additional games. Let's say they made the title game. They won the playoff and got in.
Yeah, so you have a conference championship, which gets you up to 13. And 13 times 4 would put you at 52. Okay? Then he'd have to play for 4 years in a row in a conference championship game every year, and then make the college football playoff. And I mean, so you're looking at like 4. So you'd have to make the college football playoff 2 years and win at least one game, and then at least the national championship in the other.
And by the way, if you're
maybe
no.
if you use your 4 redshirt games, if you use your 4 redshirt, so you play in 4 games as a redshirt freshman, and then start the next 4 years,
and every year you're going to the college football playoff.
Then you're there. No, if you just do that, if you use your 4 redshirt games, and then your 13 games over 4 years after that, that puts you at 56,
so
right?
If you're making the conference championship, which
if you're making the conference championship or a bowl game every year,
which we know every quarterback in college football is doing that and staying in college football.
Yeah, but remember, Bo Nix also will have.
It'll be
4 more games remaining this year, and
plus a
potentially college football or a bowl game and conference championship.
So you're looking at 5.
Yeah, I think
probably 6.
He's gonna be. I think it's a safe record.
Yeah,
it's a very safe record.
So he has the potential to get to 62.
That is nuts.
That's a lot of games, brother.
That's so many games.
That's a lot of games. And Justin Wilcox isn't the only one here who thinks that Bo Nix is special. Dan Lanning obviously has a very, very incredible relationship with Bo and had more to elaborate on.
Yeah, certainly my role on teams that I've been in the past, I probably don't get as clean of a picture of what those quarterbacks were able to do for their team. But I'll say this, I've never been around a quarterback like Bo that understands what we're trying to accomplish so well. And there's times that we're there as a coaching staff on the sideline saying, okay, wait, what is he checking to? Oh, all right, good. That worked, and he gets it right a lot more often than not. And, that was a look that we had worked a lot because it's a tough pressure to deal with. And we felt like we had a really good answer if we saw it. I thought our coaching staff and the players on the field had a really clear indication exactly what we wanted to accomplish if we saw that look. And Bo did a great job of getting us into that play, and our players did a really good job of executing. That happens every single week. Not every time is it a touchdown. Right, but that happens every single week for us where he gets us into a play or our offensive staff identifies something that can get us into a play that we think is going to be successful, and that's just one example of it.
I mean, that's a glowing review from Lanning.
That's
which you do expect.
Not held back.
He's been around some really good high-level quarterback play, right? He was at Alabama for a short time with Nick Saban. He's seen quarterback play at a very high level with a guy who has a mastery of the offense and the system with Stetson Bennett at
a
Georgia.
guy who spent a long time in a system. And went through multiple coordinators.
One thing that you cannot ignore is how many snaps you take, and we talk about how for a freshman the game slows down. The game is in slow motion for a guy like Bo Nix right now because he has played at this level for so long. It becomes your second nature, right? Like you go through high school and just think of it in your high school career, right? When you went from, a middle school football, Pop Warner football to varsity football, it was like a million miles an hour. Like I will never forget that my freshman year of high school, I played varsity football, and I was just
the first time you step on the field.
This is so much faster.
The first 3 reads
I went from
made.
8th grade to varsity football and nothing in between. I was just like, this is not. I'm not ready for this, and it was so fast, and it took me a couple of weeks to catch up to it. But by the time you're a senior, everything is slowed down. Now take 2 extra years, and go like it is when you go back. And you look at it, you're like, this is so slow.
Think about the difference here again.
So slow. And that's what Bo Nix is doing.
He was 18. Remember, at Auburn, he was 18. He will be 24 in February. Think about how different of a human being you were at 18 and 24.
That's nuts.
That's, I mean, there's just no way to cut that up that's not 2 different humans.
When you have that, and what he's been able to do, and the microscope has always been on Bo too, and I think that's something that he's okay with, and I think between the years he's able to handle everything and all the outside noise so much better is because I remember vividly watching the Elite 8 or Elite 11 when he was heading into his senior year of high school, and they're like, hey, here's the Auburn commit, Bo Nix, and the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the country. In how he just was like composed through all of it, and that wiring is going to serve him really well because it got to him. It got to him in his early years at Auburn,
which it does to damn near everybody. The rarity is the Caleb Williams types who get thrown to the fire immediately at Oklahoma, and you go, oh, but that's the 1 in a million. That doesn't happen, even for the greats.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what his NFL valuations look like because he did go through so many curveballs at Auburn, and what
he's overcome.
If that's going to be a knock on him or it's going to be a benefit because of what he changed in his narrative once he left the shadow of his dad at Auburn, when he left his home state and everything he knew, and then he came to Oregon and really was
transformed,
has been thriving.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you and I have talked about this off air.
He's gonna be a 27-year-old rookie.
I mean, yeah, he'll be out there at 24 and 25 years old in his first year. But would it be a terrible thing if he came out there and he was likable Kirk Cousins?
Yeah,
like we bash Kirk, but Kirk's better than 99% of the quarterbacks that have ever played the game.
Yeah.
Like,
he's really
if
good.
we're being serious, we take all the BS out of it. Like, yes, does he have stupid stuff that he does? Certainly. But if you look at the history of the NFL, he's in the top probably like 95th and up percentile. How many quarterbacks fail in that league?
A lot.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Especially
guys that are brought in to be backups like he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I look at Bo. Is there anything that I'm blown away by? No, but there's one thing that I look at that I really appreciate, and I know he can make the throws. It's his composure.
Yeah,
I don't like. You've been around him. You've heard him talk. I've heard him talk in interviews, and there's something there with him where I go, I trust him.
Yep.
And if you can trust the guy from day one, I think you can get a little bit out of him.
Yep.
So
it would the other thing that it will be a knock on Bo's evaluations is he is old.
Sure. And his average depth of throw in college football is the shortest.
Yeah. And that's
it's going to be a market's thrown against him, but it is reality.
It is 100% reality. It is like no doubt about it. But what Bo has got, like, which I am.
When you're completing 80%, though.
He's completing 80% of his passes. He has a ton of drops.
Yeah. On the deep balls, specifically.
How many times have you gone, oh, it's there, and either he's overthrown it by a little bit too, or it's just like boom, and it's dropped. Like you sit there and you're like, that is something he will definitely need to work on. But if you're looking at like, even if you're a career backup, that's really, I would love to have
Taylor
that guy.
Heineke's making $14 million right now.
Living that life. Living that life.
I would take one of those millions.
Yeah, me too.
One would be good.
I'd take one off him.
One?
Yeah.
Just peel one off.
You know what, Taylor, we'll do that for you.
Yeah. You can handle 13 and be a deer in the headlights.
Sure. I love it.
All right, after this, we'll put a bow on this show. Like that?
Ooh!
Yeah, that's right, Jeff Rust.
That's a Jeff Rust punny. Like, Jeff is so mad at you right now. He's going to, like, twist your words into a negative drop. Jeff's like, I can't believe you did that to me.
We're going to tie a bow on this show and hand it off to Isaac Asuk at prime time. Coming up next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. get a compensatory third-round pick in return. So if he walked, they gave up something that they're going to get right back.
Countsies, no countsies.
Meanwhile, Chicago Bears gave up a for-reals second-round pick for Montez Sweat, and he made his introductory press conference, and he said, ha, not so fast, my friends.
This is not good. This is not good at all. Yeah, if you haven't been following along with what the Bears have done. So our sister station 670 in Chicago, Chris Emmett covers a team really well for them. He's diving into this and he said Montez Sweat confirmed to the media upon his arrival that he hasn't agreed to an extension, nor has he discussed an extension with the Chicago Bears during his trade. He said, I just want to consider everything around me before I make a decision. This may be like the second worst trade in the NFL. Because Deshaun Watson's going to take it. But this is like the active trades in the NFL. This is horrible for Chicago. You're giving up a second-round pick for what?
And a second-round pick for the Bears is right now anticipated to be the 34th or 35th pick in the draft. That is a late first.
And that is a guy you could project to be a starter or contributor at some point.
Sure.
You may lose, and I understand the whole Montez Sweat he's proven. It's the known versus the unknown of a draft, and I get that aspect of it.
But you could also get him in free agency next summer.
Get us what? He's not gonna be a playing for you next year if you run him off like you've run everybody else off. Think of why would Montez Sweat want to play in Chicago when they are, one, a dumpster fire and a mess. Their fans are even mad at the team because they're moving the stadium outside of Soldier Field and they're building in, was it Highland Park?
Yes. All of their stars have wanted to leave. Jalen Johnson tried to leave the trade deadline, but wasn't given enough time to find a trade.
Yeah, that's funny. The defensive coordinator resigned amid reports that were out there about the FBI kicking in the doors of Hallis Hall.
Yeah,
remember that? Do we remember that?
Remember, weird how we haven't heard a peep about that, which means it's not good.
Well, they did say that didn't happen. The FBI didn't come and knock down the door.
Not at Hallis Hall, but
his resignation was HR related.
Mm-hmm.
This week, their running backs coach resigns. Something to do HR related, and the team had
behavioral issues.
The team had to come out.
He was dismissed.
Yeah,
they fired him. He didn't resign.
The team had to come out and say, "Yeah, this was HR related, but not related to anything the defensive coordinator did, which was also HR related." What is happening?
Yeah, and again, remind me, Khalil Mack still a Bear?
No, man.
So you've got Jalen Johnson who's trying to get out of there, who's been very good for them. Khalil Mack who wanted out of there immediately, and now you've got Montez Sweat looking around going, why would I want to be here?
Chase Claypool, too. Remember,
Chase Claypool gets traded there, and he wants out of there immediately. Are you picking up what folks are putting down?
Yeah, that's not a very high-functioning...
the Raiders are impressed.
Yeah. So, good luck. Defense may be pretty good, though. Maybe pretty good.
My God.
You never know. Yeah, that's a big old fail if they don't hold on to Montez Sweat. Now... Can they hold on to Montez Sweat?
Honestly, holding on to him is still probably a fail because you could have used the second-round pick on literally anything else and signed him in the offseason.
Yeah, I get that for the known versus the unknown because if he's given the chance, like this, at least you can win him over having him in building, even though everything that I just said contradicts anybody wanting to say. Huh? But if you can develop and foster some relationships with him, I understand why they would do that and say, hey, this is a guy that we know what he can be. We just need to butter him up and make him happy while he's here.